Hey guys, I'm gonna do a ongoing series of Q&A, things that come up that people send me, that I hear, that are just valuable insights for you guys to have the knowledge to understand. So we'll move quickly through these. First question, when do I breathe through my nose? When do I breathe through my mouth? But as humans, we are designed to breathe through our nose as the primary vessel in which we exchange air and carbon dioxide. Through like the nature of being a lot more stressed, we tend to go more through the mouth as of late, like speaking of the last bunch of generations. But that's a design flaw, and ultimately if we can get back to more nose breathing, the better. So anytime you're at rest, try to be breathing through your nose and be mindful of that. If you're working at a computer, sleeping, which is why you'll notice people are now taping their mouth shut at night. It's to promote and repattern you to breathe through your nose. During exercise, in your warm-up phases, if you're doing like steady state cardio, try to be nose only. The times that you would go to your mouth only are the times where you are truly in a heightened state of arousal. So that would be sprinting, that would be like, doing a Metcon style movement, in a finisher type deal or a CrossFit Metcon, something along those lines. Ultimately though, if you go into mouth breathing, you will then try to get back to nose only as quickly as you can, as that increases the rate of your parasympathetic nervous system working, and it brings you back down. So, nose as much as possible. I get swayed by hearing about low carb or keto. Do I have to do this? No, you don't. Depending on what your goals are, if the goals are fat loss, body weight loss, it's all about calories in, calories out, and ensuring that you're in a calorie deficit. In terms of the hierarchy of importance, it's being in a calorie deficit if you're looking to lose, or eating at maintenance if you're trying to stay the same, or eating in a slight calorie surplus if you're looking to gain some body weight or put on some muscle. And then second would be protein, making sure you have adequate protein. Ultimate goal, I'd say like 70%, 0.7 to a gram per pound of body weight is really the ultimate goal. If you're training real hard and really want to elicit maximal, strength adaptations and putting on some muscle mass, which is advantageous for everybody, I definitely trend on the higher end of that for sure. I use a gram per pound of body weight as like the ultimate standard. In terms of carbs and fats on the other side, once your calories and protein are in check, that's up to you. As long as you have about 20% of your intake is from fat, just for hormonal reasons, brain function. Other than that, it's play with it and see what you enjoy. It's easy to fall into the trap of keto's, better. But personally, I don't handle fat as well, and I feel exponentially better on a higher carb diet. And it feels like I'm cheating in training because I just perform that much better. So you do not need to be swayed into that if it doesn't work for you. I don't like setting goals because I feel like I'm gonna fail, but I slack off without direction. Help. This is awesome. This is a great question. That's a very legit thing. A lot of people are afraid to set goals or think about the future or anything in that regard because they have failed. And either it's, they weren't setting goals for themselves, they were intrinsically, following somebody else and not doing what intrinsically motivated them. So if you need basically like a refresh on how to do this, establish goals that are less outcome-based and more performance-based. And what I mean by that is basically, instead of saying I want to lose 10 pounds by X, maybe say I'm going to track my food, with 90% accuracy for the next 3 weeks. And then it's something where it's easier to show up and do that. The outcome of did you lose the weight, there's a lot of factors that go into that. You'll get close, maybe you'll hit it, maybe you'll lose 9 pounds, which I would not call a failure, but if it's your goal and you came up short, then you failed. So I'd look at that. Another one would be like, okay, I want to hit 3 training sessions a week for the next, 5 weeks. Great, like do something. It's a very delineated, like yes I did or no I didn't, and it absolves you of some of that angst that we can build up as a result. Let's see. Now, do I have to take supplements? No, you don't. Our food provides everything. Supplements are exactly that. They are to supplement what you can't get from food. largely because either you're not eating a completely well-rounded diet, and or time is super short, and life demands where you just don't have the time to get an adequate meal or enough protein or something along those lines, so you can supplement in that regard. Are they necessary? No, not at all. Kind of went over this, but 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein is hard to do. Is it necessary? I'd say, yeah, it's a struggle for a lot of people, especially once you start tracking, being aware of where you're at protein level wise. It's something that I would continue to put an effort into. Ways to do that would definitely be like pre-planning. Make sure you don't eat anything that, don't have a snack or a meal that doesn't involve a large amount of protein, or at least have a protein. And then if you're using MyFitnessPal to track all of this, preload it in. Load it in the morning or the night before. That way when you roll into the day, you're not getting to the end of the day being like, fuck, I came up short. You can be like, okay, I know that, by the end of the day, this is where I'll be. I need a little more, so I'm gonna add some to my lunch. And all of a sudden it doesn't seem like an emergency at the end of the day. For those that are looking to cut body fat though, you want to preserve as much muscle mass or even gain muscle mass, because that keeps your resting metabolism higher. So that means you're burning more throughout the day. Also, the protein has a higher thermic effect of feeding, which means just simply breaking down that protein as compared to carbs and fats takes a lot of energy. So if you're eating, say, 100 calories of protein, 30 of those are gonna go simply to breaking down the protein so your body can digest it. So you're essentially getting a discount for eating it. Also, from a satiety level, protein's gonna leave you feeling more full, which in an effort to lose body fat, lose body weight, ultimately you need to be in a calorie deficit. You are gonna probably be a little hungry. And that's something that if you can be less hungry in that process, you're gonna be more successful in sticking with it. I'm 65 years old and I want to lose weight. Is it nutrition or training that is more important? For your question, it's nutrition. Nutrition's more important for sure. At 65 though, you're looking another 20 years of where people typically decline. So I would put a huge emphasis on training as well, because that's how you're gonna fend off osteopenia, osteoporosis. It's also where you're gonna, the more strength you have, the more durability you have, the more you're gonna be able to enjoy life going forward and mitigate those risks of, I tripped and fell and I broke my hip and all of a sudden that's a gnarly decline. And you can see pretty objectively, the people that are more fit, stronger, more able, more durable, they're gonna enjoy their life much more going forward versus those that have become frail and basically stopped training and stopped doing things in that regard that promote that building of strength and durability. In terms of the body fat reduction or body weight loss, yeah, it's gonna be nutrition again. To that point, everybody way overestimates how much they burn during exercise and underestimates how much they eat. So just bear that in mind. You're never gonna out-train a poor diet. You're never gonna be able to burn off, the extra calories you ate. And that's also a trap, and that's a horrible way to look at it. Look at food as nourishing your body, and that's what regulates your body weight, and use training to get strong, be able to do cool stuff. That's what it's about. How do I deal with soreness? I'm so fucking sore after training. Couple things. Usually whatever it was that led to that soreness is the thing you want to do to get out of that soreness. Meaning, if you did heavy Bulgarian split squats and those led to brutal soreness, which they tend to, that's something that do some unweighted Bulgarian split squats. Work through that range of motion, create that pattern, do some cars, put each joint through its individual range of motion. That's gonna make a big difference. And then some low-grade aerobic steady state work. So behind me, I will hop on the rower, I'll row for 2 minutes, I'll bike for 2 minutes, row for 1.5 minutes, bike 1.5 minutes, minute, 30. And at the end of that, the soreness is gone because your body's regulated, you're warm, you're ready to go. And maybe that's what you're doing as a recovery session, period, or maybe that's what you need as a buy-in to get going. That's something where you have to take the responsibility of making sure if you need 5 minutes of an aerobic type warm-up to basically bring yourself online, great. I'm somebody with, arthritic hips, which is an unfortunate thing, but it is what it is. So especially in like the winter months, if I'm fit, like my core temperature is cold, I have to row or bike or jump rope or something to get like a low grade sweat going before squatting feels good. If not, it feels terrible. What happens is then all of a sudden I start making compensations if I didn't do the adequate warm up. So it's something that, is definitely worth doing. And it's the fastest way to mitigate soreness. So soreness, hit the aerobic piece and cut down, or basically work through the range of motion or the movement that made you sore. How to properly do a kettlebell swing. I was told to bend my knees a lot. Okay. I'll go over swings by showing swings. It is a hip dominant movement. So that means it is not a knee dominant movement. By nature of this, I'm gonna hinge my hips back and I'm gonna drive forward, squeezing thighs and my butt at the top. I'm not eliciting a big amount of knee bend. So with this, I'm gonna bring the bell high into my hips with my hips pulled back, my chest comes forward to maintain my balance over my feet. And then from there, I'm violently standing back up to squeeze my thighs and my butt. So from here, I pull high into hips. I unlock my knees so they bend just enough to basically maintain an athletic position as my hips go back. And then from there, it's driving forward, promoting hip extension. And I want to be mindful of not letting myself arch back. So by squeezing my butt, I'm limiting and keeping that to not letting myself arch back, but limited knee bend with that. Is two more. Is training in the morning better than the afternoon? No, not at all. Train when it's convenient for you. It's hard enough to maintain a lifestyle like this. Do it when it's easiest. Do it when you most enjoy it. On the same note, are carbs at night bad? No, they're just another source of calories. Not good, not bad. There is, if we were to get really in the weeds on this, I like living by the notion of earning your carbs. Meaning around before and after training, or if you're doing like gnarly yard work, or I took our deck apart last night, very physical thing, I've earned my carbs. That being said, I eat a higher carb diet. You can have them anytime, but ultimately be a little bit more biased with your carbs around training and physical doings, and be a little bit more fat biased, lower carb, because protein always remains the same. During times of inactivity, so if you're working at a desk, if you're sitting in the car for a long time, those types of things, you haven't really earned your carbs, so you can be a little bit more fat biased. But again, what really matters is total calories and protein if you're looking to have some body recomposition. Let me know, submit any questions you have on anything, lifestyle, training, nutrition, whatever. I'm happy to get on here and break these down. Thanks, guys.